Amazing feat. These two companies, Amazon and Salesforce, have been in the top 10 since we've been doing the list. What's going on? How do you explain a three-peat there?
The three-peat with Amazon and Salesforce is really, in large part, driven by the people who founded and continue to drive innovation in the company. So take either of them. Take Jeff Bezos at Amazon. You got him as a 4-year-old growing up with a grandfather and grandmother in Texas in the summertime, learning that experimentation is the only way to solve problems. If the tractor breaks down, Bezos' grandparents didn't call somebody to fix it. They worked it. They tried it 1,700 different ways. Finally, it worked. And so you've got Jeff, who grew up with that sort of logic in his head and behavior, who then builds this company with that skill set around, let's just notice new stuff and try it. And that's what they do. He does it. And so Bezos basically told us, my job as a leader is to reduce the cost of experimentation within Amazon so that thousands, not hundreds of these experiments happen. That is not how many leaders think. But imagine that being spread across an entire organization, and you've got all kinds of people poking around with ideas that they're trying really fast and quick.
And Salesforce with Mark Benioff?
One of his great skills is he's a networker for new ideas. So he talks to different people, and the whole idea for Salesforce came from him going around the world, especially in India, with small, medium-sized enterprises. How do you get enterprise-level software to work for these folks? And he would talk to diverse individuals. Boom, Salesforce comes with CloudForce and enterprise software. And then, it wasn't but a few years ago, conversations with different generations, young entrepreneurs, like Drew Houston from Dropbox. That conversation and subsequent ones led them to figure out Chatter, which is like Facebook and Twitter combined within an enterprise. But the notion is, both Benioff and Bezos at the top are active innovators themselves.
Yeah, because what happens when too much of that innovation and creativity is centralized at the top?
If it's too heavy-weighted at the top, then when that leader leaves, game's over. Innovation ends. But I think both Benioff and Bezos work systematically figuring out what's the replacement strategy, even though they don't plan to leave at the moment. So part of Benioff's strategy, it's really interesting, is buying up companies, much like Marissa Mayer at Yahoo, buying up companies sometimes just for talent, as well as for whatever thing they've created.
So if you got, there's 100 companies on the list, if you want people to come away with one thing, I mean, it's not really a stock picker's list, because these companies, if they do as well as people think, they'll just meet investor expectations, which may be above and beyond what the market is, but it's still not going to blow out from where it is now. Some of these are very highly valued companies. So what's the ultimate lesson here for people who just scan the names of the companies? What should they think or do for themselves?
You scan the list of those companies, and for me, here's the story, if I'm not a part of that set of 100. It's number one, most of these companies, especially the ones at the top, they look very far future by looking very deeply in the present to real needs, real issues with real people, and they use these skills. They get out there, they get into the world, they ask questions, they observe, they experiment, they network, they do that stuff from the top to the bottom of the system enough that new ideas are getting generated and implemented over and over and over. And it's an investment. Here's the final piece for me. You get these older, in the late 40s, early 50s, sort of entrepreneurs like Bezos and Benioff and Steve Jobs when he passed away in his mid-50s, unfortunately. But they have spent 4 months out of every year of their life actively doing this innovation work themselves. That's 18 years of 56 years. And it's no wonder. You compare that to someone who spent half that time, which is what non-innovative CEOs at non-innovative companies do. You just have more good data points to build great ideas that could make a difference. This is a long-term commitment, individually, as a corporation, to build that for the future.